Hey guys, it's RodimusPrimal. I am back in another video, and today I'm going to go over all of the reveals at San Diego Comic-Con for Transformers Age of the Primes and Studio Series. I know I'm late to the party, but I think it's time for me to give off all my thoughts for all of these cool figures that are being shown. So without further ado, let's sit back, relax, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, and let's transform and roll out. Consider supporting the channel on Patreon, becoming a channel member, or purchase some merch. Links are in the description below. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk to you guys today about is the fact that BIG Convoy was going to be reissued in Japan with a more cartoon-accurate head and a gold color scheme to him. So if you already had gotten Lyle Prime, I think it was Legacy that he had came out in, this was going to be a better version of that figure. The rumor right now is that the pre-orders for this figure are currently going to be canceled. This seems to be something that, some people are saying that they're, actually not going to be releasing the figure. The rumor is currently that the plant where they've been manufacturing the figure manufactured it so terribly that, well, they can't transform. But this is an unfounded rumor. But I'm guessing that for some people, they're getting their pre-orders canceled and they're not able to get their Lyle Convoy, which really stinks because that version of the figure looks a lot better than the Legacy release. And, maybe they'll re-release it again, someday in the future, especially considering one of the figures that had come out, it was revealed for San Diego Comic-Con. And speaking of San Diego Comic-Con, they had a Hasbro Pulse roundtable showing off a bunch of these figures. There was a brand roundtable, and they went over all of them. There's a lot of cool figures to talk about. And the first thing I'm going to talk to you guys today about is Jetfire, Derek, and Solila. These two characters are the main characters for the Void Rivals comic book. If you've been reading the Skybound comics, man, they are awesome. I love the Transformers comic book. It's coming close to an end of the, storyline that Daniel Warren Johnson has been placed. And I think that Robert Kirkman is going to be taking over from that point. The G.I. Joe comic book, the whole lead up to G.I. Joe being formed and G.I. Joe and Cobra fighting. But then there's this third comic book called Void Rivals. And it is basically all the space adventures. And in the first issue, Jetfire shows up, and it takes place before the first issue of Transformers. So the two main characters there, Derek and Solila, they have all these different adventures on this world that Jetfire wakes up on, and then all of a sudden we see other characters. We see the Skuxoid, we see Shockwave, we see Quintessons, we see Hot Rod and Springer, which is awesome. It's really, really cool. You should definitely check out the Void Rivals comic book. San Diego Comic-Con had this exclusive where they took two G.I. Joe figures, with the O-ring and basically made, versions of their Void Rivals characters. And they're releasing a clean version of Jetfire. And it looks really great in this, bright white colors. The only thing is that Jetfire doesn't come with all of the armor that the Siege, because it's the same mold as the Siege figure, but it doesn't come with any of the armor. It just comes with his blaster and blast effects, so it's like it doesn't have as many things. But if you're able to get your hands on this thing, I think it's definitely worth it. And also, I highly recommend reading the Energon Universe comic books. The next thing is something that I saw in person at MegaCon was this Hearts of Steel 2-packs that they're doing for Megatron and Bumblebee and Optimus versus Starscream. If you've already seen them, they look great. I think now the pre-orders are now available for them. So if you do want to get them, go for it. The next we found out is going to be a Hasbro PulseCon exclusive. They're going to be releasing the Nemesis Prime figure, which is from the Transformers Armada cartoon, taking that Legacy figure just without the trailer, and they're going to do a new head sculpt where basically his face is half melted off, which did happen in the comic book, and you're going to be able to get your hands on the Minicons. Hasbro had said, Evan actually said that they want to release more of the mini cons somehow, and this is how it seems that they're going to be doing that. So when Hasbro PulseCon happens, if you really want to get that Minicon Star Saber team, the air defense Minicons, this is your way to do so. And because of it, without having the trailer, obviously you're not going to have him transform into the larger super mode, but this is definitely worth it for any Armada fan. Personally speaking, I think this is one I'm going to skip. However, this does inspire me to remaster my Nemesis Prime retrospective. I think that video does need a little bit of an update. Next up, we're talking about Hot Wheels crossing over with Transformers. Man, they're doing so many crossovers. But this one's in particular, I think are really cool. I like the way that Twin Mill looks. I like the way that Bone Shaker looks. And I'm not sure if this is a 2-pack or if they're released individually, but both vehicles are things that I've seen out of the Hot Wheels line. I think I remember actually having the car that Twin Mill turns into, and I remember like a friend having like the Bone Shaker, vehicle, because, a lot of people had like toys of everything, and actually making Transformers of them is really, really cool. So I think this is actually one of the better crossover figures. Next, I want to talk about Studio Series. And the reason I want to talk about Studio Series first is because, it's kind of interesting. Studio Series, the line expanded. It grew to be not just about the live action films, but to be about all the films and also Gamer Edition, to try and get like these like specialized, really highly detailed figures for characters that otherwise don't fit the theme of the collector's line that year. So it's like basically two branching collector's lines is how they look at it. For some fans, they're like, I only want Studio Series to be only focused about what I like about Transformers. And it's like, sorry, they're not just going to do live action films. They're going to do more. And they always said that was going to be the case. But let's actually look at some of the Studio Series figures. First and foremost, Arachnid. This is a pleasant surprise. We saw the prototype before. Now we're seeing the colored render, and she looks great. She looks awesome. She was one of the standout villains in the film, and her Cybertronian mode looks really cool. I would like them to do a more Transformers Prime, a really good version of Transformers Prime Arachnid. But this is a really cool version of this version of the character, and I think the figure looks awesome. I'm also pleasantly surprised with Transformers 5 Barricade. Everyone loved that police vehicle that they used in the 5th film, and the robot mode, it looks all right. I don't collect anything live action myself personally, but I think that this figure looks great. I'm sure a lot of people who like the Transformers 5 design will definitely be going for this. Man, this one is one that I have been waiting for a long time, to finally complete all 6 of the original 1984 Minibots. Yes, we know that his corpse was what was seen in the original movie, and we saw him, RC was carrying him and laid him next to Wheeljack's body, but this is a character that doesn't get a lot of screen time, doesn't get a lot of love, but he has one of the most powerful powers in all of Cybertron. He has magnetic powers, and that is something that is pretty cool about him, and his robot mode looks awesome. I'm definitely now I've literally been waiting to like finish up like a retrospective script for him, but I've been waiting for a toy of him to come out. And what I think it's going to probably happen is we're going to get an 86 Wheeljack that's not dead, and then we'll get like an 86 Corpse 2-pack with Windcharger and Wheeljack, which is not necessarily something that everybody wants to get. Some people really like these Corpse figures, but I like the characters when they're still alive. You can pretend that they're dead if you're reenacting the scene. It's just kind of the way that I like to go about doing it. But I really, really want this figure. It's going to stand really nice next to all of the other mini bots for G1. And speaking of mini-bots, we also get to take a look at Sea Spray. This is going to be the version that is going to be released alongside a toy head version of Brawn for the Walmart exclusive mini-bots that they're releasing. They've already done Gears and they've done Bumblebee. Now they're doing Brawn and Sea Spray. Which stinks about the Sea Spray figure is not so much that they're releasing him, but they're releasing him as a Walmart exclusive, so it's hard to find this character. And hopefully they do a, cartoon deco where maybe he might be just a slightly lighter blue, and he has like the cartoon accurate, face and eyes, but we'll see what they go for there. Or maybe this Sea Spray figure will be a lot easier to find because, again, remember Cosmos? Yeah, Cosmos was hard to find, right? So now they're doing this with Sea Spray. Ugh, it kind of stinks. But both of his modes look great, and I think that for a lot of fans, who are interested in getting Sea Spray, this is going to be your chance to finally be able to get him. Next up, we're moving to Voyager scale and Transformers 1 Alpha Trion. We saw the prototype before, now we actually get to see the colored render, and you can see they're trying to get like all that dirt and grime that he had when he woke up in the film, because they're trying not to make him be super clean, because he was kind of all beaten up by that point in the movie, and everyone loved the fact that they gave him the beast mode that he had in, I believe it was one, it was Power of the Primes, or that whole Prime Wars trilogy that they decided to give the whole lion mode for Alpha Trion. So that's where they decided to work that into this version of the character, and I think it works, at least for the film, right? I'm more of a fan of that A3 figure, but I think this looks great too. Man, this one has gotten discourse all over the place. I've seen my man 60 getting politely yelled at for liking this toy. And man, oh man, this thing looks great. And if you have collected all of the Earthrise mold for the Seekers, and you're sitting to yourself going I don't want to have to buy all the Seekers all over again, then don't. But for some people, this is the upgrade that you've been waiting for. This is the version of, the Seekers that you really want to go for. It's almost like that mini masterpiece. It's Voyager scale. They're doing a brand new mold. None of the tooling is the same from the Earthrise Seeker. Brand new chest, brand new legs, brand new everything. The whole toy is brand new. It just looks similar because it's Generation 1, but he's got landing gear. The cockpit actually opens. You can either fold up the tail fins up the side of the legs like you would normally, or you can have it toy accurate where it kind of sits on the back and kind of gives him stability, or you can remove them and put them on the back of the wings. You can actually take the tail fins off and place them on the back of the wings so that you don't have to worry about losing that part, and also give that clean cartoon accurate leg. You have the option to do that. Look at that. He's got wrist articulation, which for a Voyager scale figure, he should have. He has waist articulation. So I think he looks great. And they're doing Thundercracker first. Then they're going to do Skywarp. And then, to my understanding, there is a listing for a Target exclusive Starscream, which is going to suck because it's going to be hard to get that Starscream figure. I don't know why they always have to do these, the exclusive for certain characters, but this mold in particular looks fantastic for Thundercracker. I definitely want to get this figure. I definitely want to get the Skywarp figure when it comes out. And you know what? I want to get Starscream too. If they're going to do all three of the Seekers that way, they said this is going to be the Seeker mold moving forward. So at least for Generation 1. And I'm sure that they'll do other characters for other universes too. But, I think this looks fantastic. Now, next up, we're looking at Nemesis Prime. Yes, another Nemesis Prime. But this one is called Nemesis Prime because it is a brainwashed Optimus from Transformers The Last Knight. So if you missed that movie, which I don't blame you if you're not a fan of the live action films, Basically, it is a retool of the Age of Extinction Prime that had just came out, I believe, this year. And they're, he has different wrists, he has different weapons, and I think he has the red scar down his eye in order to show off that whole brainwashing thing. Still, that is who the character was represented in the movie, and I think it looks good. If you already enjoyed the Age of Extinction Prime, a lot of people said, oh, it doesn't have silver. It looks like they're actually going to be using a darker gray and darker paints for this version of the toy versus the one that came out this year. And to go along with that Nemesis Prime figure is the Titan class Grimlock. Yeah, they're doing a Titan class for the live action films, and it's one of the Dinobots. They said this is going to be the first of the 4. They are going to do all 4 of the Age of Extinction Dinobots. They're going to do Grimlock first, and then they're going to do the other 4. So if you are a fan of the live action Dinobots and you like that whole scene that they did at the end of that 2-hour and 45-minute movie, for the last 20 minutes of that film to have the Dinobots, then go for it, man. This is going to be huge. You're going to be able to have that, either that Nemesis Prime or the Age of Extinction Prime, ride on the back of this Grimlock. He's huge. He's going to be massive, and I'll show an image of it in a little bit. But it's huge. The paint applications I think look really good, at least if you're a fan of this version of it. And here it is. Here is that image of Grimlock, with the Age of Extinction Prime, or actually the Nemesis Prime version of the toy. This is the prototype for both of them. So you can see the scale. It's going to be massive. This is what we were talking about when I mentioned Star Convoy, how Star Convoy was the first of a smaller scale, like basically $50 less. So you have your $200 Titans and you have your $150 Titans. And with the $150 Titans, that's where they're able to come up with a larger figure that isn't like full scale Titan, but a little bit smaller. And so this is going to be that, for Grimlock that way, because they did Star Convoy and now they're doing Grimlock. And I think that they're supposed to do one more Titan for the, Age of Extinction Dinobots, and the other 2 are going to be a little bit smaller in scale. But, you could see just how massive it is. But next up, we're going to move all over to Age of the Primes. These Age of the Prime figures, I think, look awesome. There's a couple that I'm like, you could have done a little bit better on, and you'll see what I mean. First and foremost, Sure Shot. A lot of us have been waiting for them to finally finish the Autobot Target Masters. They did Crosshairs in Siege, but he didn't come with his Target Master partner. They did Point Blank in Legacy, and now for Age of the Primes, they're doing Sure Shot. I wonder if they're going to redo Generation 1 Crosshairs just to give us that complete version, or maybe just retool that figure a little bit to have bigger tires. But here, having Sure Shot with his Target Master partner, so if you already have Point Blank, this is going to be a welcome addition to your collection. And for sure, yeah, I want to be able to have all 6 of the 87 Target Masters. Now they just need to re-release, because they're doing Slug Slinger with Sandstorm, and Slug Slinger is not coming with his Target Master partner. So it makes me wonder if they're going to redo the Target Masters for the Decepticons. Are they going to do new molds, or are they going to just re-release them? We'll see. Next up is Blast Off. Now, I don't yet have Vortex. I definitely want to get Vortex because I want the combiners. I want all the Scramble City combiners. I'm trying to get my hands on the 2-pack for Long Haul and Hook, so I can start completing my Devastator. I have Superion on order, and I have the first 2 aerial bots. But I want to get the Combaticons too, man. And Vortex looks fantastic. Blast Off looks awesome as well. They decided to go with the cartoon animation model where the visor of his toy is the crest of his head. And so his faceplate itself is, you know, just silver, and then his eyes are like a light gray. And that's what they decided to go for. And I think that's fine. You know, I'm sure there are going to be people who are going to want it the opposite way, where his eyes are a solid, you know, lavender color, or maybe Toy Hacks might do like an extra set, you know, or an extra like set of labels to be able to do that if you so choose to do so. Here's the thing, whenever I talk about like all these extra things that you can add, like third-party add-on kits, like, you know, if you want to add on like extra blasters that didn't come with your figure, or a Toy Hacks label, I'm not sitting there saying you have to do it. It's you know, it's something cool that's out there. And I do like the stuff that a lot of different, you know, fans make when they're selling off this stuff, because it adds to your figure. And I think that in this particular case, Blastoff looks great as is. Here's one that I was not anticipating them doing, but I think it looks pretty cool, is Junkion Jalopy, another of a new character of Junkions that they decided to do. First time they did this mold was Axle Grease, and it was a female Junkion Decepticon. So she joined the Decepticons, but she was already a Junkion to begin with, whereas having one in the same colors as the other Junkions is also a welcome addition too, with a different head sculpt. I think it's awesome, because then if you decide to take Trashmaster and merge him with the other Junkions that are like, you know, kind of like Battleizers in a way, you can do so now with a more unified color, instead of using Axle Grease to make that like monster truck or like monster T-Rex thing that you can make, you know, out of it. It doesn't really have a name. It's just something that like fans are able to do with all the different parts. But I think it looks pretty cool. This is one that's awesome. I got Silverbolt. I really like the figure. I need to get the add-on kit for it. But I've been sitting there myself, I'm like, man, if we can get a new Quick Strike, I'd be all up on top of that. And yeah, this is great. He is one of the standout like new season 2 villains that came out, you know, just because of his over the top accent. Like he was like, you know, a cowboy, you know, villain. And I loved him in Beast Wars as a bad guy. And the original toy was made out of translucent plastic. So this time it's all solid, you know, and it's a brand new mold, of course. And I think it looks awesome. Can't wait to go for it, you know, to, you know, pad out my Beast Wars collection of figures. Now, I'm not in particularly like interested in all of the different primes myself, but I think it's pretty cool that they're going off with some of these more interesting designs for all of the primes. And here we have Quintus Prime, who quite literally transforms into a spaceship / squid. And so he's literally the definition of squid face. I know, if you're thinking Transformers Armada with that reference, yes, yeah, that's where I kind of went with that. Still, the idea of him having translucent plastic kind of worries me at the bottom, you know, in order for some of the joints and where things, you know, move. But it's a pretty interesting design. I'll just put it to you that. Next up, we're talking about Brawl. And Brawl, another one of the Combaticons, man, just looks great. Overall, awesome looking tank mode, awesome looking robot mode. I really can't like, there's like no negatives that I can say about this thing. I understand why he's a Voyager, is because not only is it like the parts with all of the blasters that he comes with, but also the fact that he is part, you know, he is the leg of Bruticus, and he needs to be able to have that stability. They did the same thing for Mixmaster and Scrapper in order to have that stability when they combine. And so the extra budget that they have with the Voyager figures allows him also to have the 2 cannons on his back. So he isn't just a plain tank, which is more of the cartoon accuracy for him, but also gives him a lot more detail. And I think it looks awesome. Now, this is the one where I literally took a step back and went, oh, man, I see where you were going with this. When I looked at the original Trashmaster figure, I was like, I can kind of see this. Maybe if they retooled it heavily, they can make an animated Wreck-Gar out of it. Well, now they're doing it. They're making Transformers animated Wreck-Gar. And I gotta say, I'm not really impressed with it. Simply because, I mean, I already have the Trashmaster figure, and I think it works great as a new character. But as Wreck-Gar, and I liked the Transformers animated character. It was voiced by Weird Al. And so I feel for you, animated fans. But at the same time, like, this is just kind of like a new version of, like, that character. You know what I mean? Like, they're doing another toy of that character. And if you liked the Trashmaster figure, or if you skipped out on the Trashmaster figure and you want to be able to create that whole combiner thing that you were able to do, and if you got some of the other Junkions, go for it. But, I mean, if you are an animated fan and you don't like the way it looks, then, you know, that's up to you. Still, it's a brand new head sculpt. And then if they wanted to, they could take that head sculpt and they could put it on another, you know, figure if they want to. Like, you have that option, right? But at the same time, I feel for you guys. Now, here's one that it's really weird. Optimus Prime. A Prime that can transform into a spider tank and a bunch of other things. The idea is that his T-Cog is what kind of allows the Transformers to have more than one mode. You know, more than one alternate mode, at least to my understanding. Or I think they were trying to say, like, he was the progenitor of alternate modes to begin with, but that doesn't really work canonically, really. It's kind of weird. I know, like, it's part of the Covenant of Primus thing, but still looks weird in robot mode, looks weird in his alternate mode. I am sure fans are going to be going all over this, because it's like, how crazy can you get when it comes down to design? And this really, like, takes the cake when it comes down to it. But hey, more power to you. Next up, we are talking about Razor Claw. Now, this particular version of Razor Claw was a recolor of Tigerhawk. So when the first Beast Wars figure of Tigerhawk came out really late in the Beast Wars line, way back in like 1999, right before Beast Machines came out, they recolored it for Transformers Universe back in 2003. There was this whole Universe War thing, and there was this dark recolor of Tigerhawk called Razor Claw. Remember the fiction correctly, I think it was a revived Tigerhawk, or, you know, something like along those lines. I got to go back and read those comics. But here now they are releasing this figure in mainline. So if you are interested in going for Razor Claw, I do like the color scheme. Personally speaking, it's not something that I would go for myself. This is cool. Big Convoy. This is why when I said earlier about the 40th anniversary Lyle Convoy getting canceled really stings, because, you know, Beast Wars the second and Beast Wars Neo, the two main convoys or Optimus Primes of that show, or Optimus Primals, was Lyle Convoy and Big Convoy. And Big Convoy transforming into a big woolly mammoth is exactly why he's called that. And the figure is awesome looking. The prototype that they did show at San Diego Comic-Con was a prototype, so it wasn't fully painted, but it looks great in both modes. It's gonna be awesome, just straight up. And the last thing that they finally showed was the pre-colored render for Onslaught, because we know that with all of the Combaticons coming out, they're gonna have to do Swindle as well. You know, Commander Onslaught is going to be the toy that, you know, comes out and be able to merge them all into Bruticus. And I don't have much of an opinion about that, because I got to see the figure itself. And last but not least, let's talk about 2026 and 2027. We have some exclusives for Studio Series that are supposedly going to be coming up. They're going to be doing a Beast Wars Maximal multi-pack. I'm wondering if they're going to re-release some of the figures that had already come out before. It looks like they're going to be doing an anniversary Insecticon pack. So if you missed out on any of the legacy Insecticons, they're probably going to do that in cartoon accurate colors, which would be very welcome. They're also going to be doing Starscream. So we saw that Thundercracker figure, but it seems to be that Starscream is going to be part of a Target exclusive pack. Same thing for Prowl. And that kind of stinks, because, you know, you're only going to be able to get that figure at Target. It's going to be hard to find for some fans, and I know not everybody's going to be happy about that, especially for Prowl and Starscream. How do you make two main characters exclusives when they're already hard to find to begin with. I digress, but it just be some way for more people to be able to get their hands on it some way. And it looks like they're also going to be redoing the first live action movie version of Optimus Prime. So it's not just like the same one that they released before. They're going to do another redo of Optimus Prime, at least as far as what we can tell, just based upon these listings. And with that said, I gotta say, I am really excited about a lot of these releases. It seems that they are trying their best to reach all of the fans that have come across over the last 40 years. They've got a little bit of G1, they've got Bayverse, they've got Armada, they've got, they're trying to at least touch on animated with that Wreck-Gar figure, which, I'll be honest with you, I wish it was a little bit better. But that's, besides the point. And they're doing stuff with Beast Wars. They're trying to do a little bit of everything. And so I think that when some fans are complaining that, oh, they're doing another version of this character, and it's like, they're doing another version of Bayverse Optimus Prime. Am I complaining about it? No. I'm happy that they're going to do another version of that toy. If you want, 7 different versions of Bayverse Optimus Prime, then go for it. Like, I want that new version of the Seeker. That's what that they're trying to do. They're trying to make new toys for fans who want to buy them. And it's a lot of different variety. And I think they're doing a great job of trying to bring more variety to the lines so that more fans are interested in collecting. However, my biggest concern right now with Transformers is the fiction. You got a great comic book going on right now, and the cartoon seems aimed a little too young for, some of the new fans to try to come in with Transformers Cyberworld. But then again, that might be just what the fandom, the whole franchise needs, is to bring that new audience in with something a little bit younger. Or maybe they need a new cartoon that could really bring in that demographic of 5 to 12-year-olds again, and make them just as excited about Transformers as those of us who are. Think about this. How many Transformers fans right now are in their 20s, started with either Armada or Animated or Prime or the Bayverse, and then there are those of us who are in our 40s, 50s, and some 60s who are Transformers fans who have been there since the beginning. They're trying to do a little bit for all of us, but we're all adults. And Transformers is a toy line. So if you want more fans, they've got to do something to reach the younger audience too. And I'm wondering what could be that balance. But I've been saying that for a while, and it's just my, personal thoughts when it comes down to it. But I want to know what you guys think about all of these Transformers reveals. Are you excited about it? Or are you sitting there saying, I want to get a little bit of this, a little bit of that, or do you want to get it all? Of course, leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. Be sure to thumbs up this video and subscribe. I have more Transformers videos like this, as well as my retrospectives, some new and remasters ones coming very soon, so stay tuned for all of that. And as always, guys, until next time, till all are one.